If you have read the books, listened to the podcasts, invested in yourself, and built a life that looks pretty good from the outside, but there's still a quiet feeling that something is missing, today's conversation is for you. I am sharing a conversation I had with my friend and fellow coach, Juliette Morton, about something we've been creating together that we are incredibly excited about. It's a 6-month journey for women who are ready to go deeper, not into another course or another list of things they should be doing, but into deeper connection with themselves and with other women. We talk about why we believe transformation happens differently in community, why women need spaces where they can be completely honest and seen, and what becomes possible when we stop trying to hold everything together on our own. We'll also tell you about the retreat we're creating in Whistler and why we believe those 2 days together could be just the beginning. So if you're curious about what we're creating, or you simply want to hear two women have a very real conversation about connection, courage, sisterhood, and transformation, stay with us. Come for the connection, stay for the transformation. Okay, let's get into it.
I am so excited today to be with such a good friend of mine, Juliette Morton. It is such a pleasure to be here with you today and have this conversation. Juliette and I have known each other through the ICM Mastery Method coaching program. We actually went on a retreat and we stayed together at an Airbnb, and so we got to meet in person. We've been on this incredible journey together. Today, we're going to have a conversation about something really exciting that we are both creating, something very close to both of our hearts. And I know my listeners are going to be so excited, not only by what we're creating, but also what this conversation can open up for each person tuning in today. So, hi, Juliette, and welcome.
Hi, Charlotte. Thank you for the introduction. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today, and I'm so excited to have this conversation. I know you and I have been speaking a lot in the background and decided this would be good to share this conversation and more broadly, ready to dive in here.
I wonder, would you share a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing up until the point when we met?
Sure. Yeah. As you mentioned, we met in the ICM, the Institute for Coaching Mastery program. We're both alumni and collective members, meaning that we are in the full transformation, right? So we met on a retreat last year, and I landed in coaching a few years ago after going through my own kind of wake-up call and a moment where really the life that I'd built so far was really great in terms of career. And I was an entrepreneur. I have a business degree. I had a lot of good titles on my resume, and really a life that looked really well accomplished on the outside. And I kind of hit a breaking point a few years ago. And from that breaking point, I've been slowly moving back towards more and more of myself. And this has really opened up a lot for me that I'm really so excited to share with women in midlife, which is what I focus on right now, is helping women in midlife navigate this transition, both from a body perspective. I'm a functional medicine coach, so I bring that metabolic health aspect into it, but also from a mind and a spirit perspective, really, because I believe it's a full body, mind, spirit transformation. And it's such a beautiful time of initiation for us. And to make the most of it is by being supported in this transition. You can really make the most of it, both coaching and in community.
I love that. And one thing you said there that I know we're going to touch on as we chat a bit further here is coming back to ourselves. And I see so many women at this stage in our lives, in that midlife, in that perimenopause, menopause, stage of life where it really is about coming back to ourselves. It's not about healing. It's not about fixing. It's not about something new per se. It's that returning home. So thank you for sharing that. Let's dive into this because you and I have decided to create this incredible mastermind together. And I know we've spent years coaching incredible women, and there are certain themes that keep coming up for both of us.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the themes really is around, for me, the central one really is around this midlife point. And is it a decline or is it a new beginning, right? It sounds a little cliche, but I think culturally we are kind of conditioned to think of midlife as a decline in terms of our roles or health. Maybe our kids are moving out, maybe our careers have sort of reached an upper limit, et cetera. When actually what we are called for is really a recalibration, a redefinition. And as you mentioned, something a little bit more authentic, a little bit closer to what really rings true for us, what really is in alignment. But it's also the moment where any misalignment in our life just rises up to the surface, right? This is the hormones working not against us, but for us, and really to bring to light every single misalignment where maybe we said yes when we meant no. Maybe we've been orienting towards pleasing others rather than really focusing on what makes us excited and what we value. So I think this theme of transformation is there for sure, and of going inward and just taking the time, a pause really to orient more towards what is in alignment with us. And, the truth is, as you and I have talked about, is that for a lot of us, we don't really know what that is. We haven't really sat down and said, what are my values? What does really matter to me? And I think that's a really great starting point to really start that work or that reflection of what does matter to me in this point in my life.
That's beautiful. And it's interesting, isn't it, that you use the words decline. And I think I felt something very similar as I was approaching turning 50, but it was this sort of point where people expect you to slow down. A lot of my peers were thinking about retiring and slowing down, and I was not ready for that. I was actually ready to ramp things up. I think I am way more active now, physically, mentally, spiritually, in every area of my life than I ever have been before. So I love this idea. And really for women at any stage in their life where they've perhaps got to this point of, well, I may look successful on the outside. I have a great career. I have a beautiful family. I'm in a loving relationship maybe, and still there's something missing. And I think for me, as I coach more and more women at these certain sort of transition points in their life, more and more I'm noticing women overthinking decisions they've made. Perhaps, they're now second guessing themselves. They're questioning their worth. They feel as though every day is a performance rather than really connecting to what they value. And I love that you talked about values. I know you and I both feel values are so important. But did I, before I did this, well, I say work, it's not really work. I feel like I'm playing in it. But did I ever really sit down and consider what my values are? And when I look back, I thought, no, I didn't. And I also see this disconnection. Women feel this incredible disconnection, not only perhaps with their partner or their family or their friends, but also with themselves. And I know my biggest transformation was really connecting back to who I am. What lights me up? What gets me jumping out of bed in the morning and says, okay, I'm ready for today? I mean, pickleball is one of those things, as many of my listeners know, but there are so many different things that now can light us up.
Yeah, and I love that you're framing it this way, and it's not all about work and healing and It doesn't have to be only about removing, the things that are not working or going through all this. I know this kind of work can feel a little heavy sometimes, like, oh, I'm going to have to face all my wounds. It's also about exactly what you said. It's like what lights us up, like what really makes us excited in the morning. One of my teachers mentions, what makes you get out of bed in the morning as if it was a field trip day at school, right? Not just the normal day. I'm reconnecting with that. And I think in the process of growing a career and developing and really investing in our primary relationships, and of course, for those of us who have kids, all of that, it's very common from what I see that we get disconnected from what lights us up, right? And I almost see it as this little pilot light that we have. And that as long as it's burning, it's okay. But a lot of the women I meet, they are really at the point where that pilot light has gone extinct, where there is very little, almost like life force energy left, right? I really see it as my role to help them turn that light back on so that it can then fire into something up. And maybe some women listening to this are in the throes of menopause, for example, and they're not sleeping through the night. And they're thinking, oh, that's all great, but I can't even make it out of bed, like let alone be excited. So I do think there is a sort of a basic physical level that needs to be addressed and attended to really get the body out that survival mode. It's actually the simplest one to solve. And that takes, I would say, a few weeks, if not a lot more. And a lot of women who go through that are then ready for the next step and say, great, well, I've done that. So what's the next step, right? So if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't feel that spark, I don't want you to be discouraged because it is right around the corner with the right ingredients. That spark will light right back up.
I love that analogy with the pilot light because, yes, without it, we can't fire up and do anything. And it also gives us permission to fire up and be alive and energetic, and then also to just dim that back down again and have the pilot light burning. And I see that very much then as a place where we're nourishing ourselves. We're not performing. We're not going all out. We've done the exciting thing. We've put the energy in. And now we're creating more space for ourselves to nourish us. And maybe for some of us, that does mean going out because we're a little bit more extroverted and connecting and socializing. And maybe for some of us, and I know I can relate to this, it means pulling back a little bit and being a bit more isolated. I'm still connected because I'm still connected to me, to who I truly am. But that doesn't mean that my calendar has to be full. That's me then allowing myself more space so that we're really finding that balance. And I think a lot of women struggle with finding that balance between nourishing themselves and giving, because we all know how to overgive. One thing I've realized, one thing I know to be true now is that women don't need more information. We are very adept at knowing what to do. I think what I see missing here is having that place, having that space where we can practice being ourselves. And I know what we're creating with this mastermind is supporting women to find that place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% on the information and knowledge piece. I mean, now more than ever, we have access to all the information. I see this in terms of personal development work or nutrition even, right? Like it's very easy to find out what the information is. But what I think what is unique about the coaching program that you and I have sort of gone through and this approach that we're really so excited to bring to women, it's all about integration, right? You can read all the books. You can listen to all the podcasts, and those are great, and they have their place, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you wake up on a Monday, a Tuesday, and in real life, what does this actually look like? Like, how do I apply all this knowledge in a very real life embodied way when, my kids are loud or they've gone to bed and I'm sitting alone in the kitchen or whatever it is, right? And that's when you feel the connection or the disconnection at that point. And with this mastermind, really what we really want to do is create that space where we can be authentic with each other, which then allows us to be authentic with ourselves. And one of the things that you and I shared was that when we go on a retreat with friends, very often after a girlfriend's weekend, we come back, and I know for me, I always feel much more centered in myself. And I'm like, oh, that's what being me feels like. I quickly, not completely lose it, but that gets diluted a little bit as I step back into my roles. And what we really want is to help women connect with that, but then sustain it long enough in a group container so that it can be anchored a little bit more, and then it becomes something that they can bring into their relationships, because that's a little harder. Like, you can be yourself with your friends or on a meditation cushion. All that is wonderful. But then as you are going into relationship, whether it's work or anything, everyday life, that's where it gets a little tricky. And so that's where the 6 months is important, because it really helps us anchor into that.
What we've created here is this incredible in-person 2-day retreat to really kick the mastermind off. So this is where people meet in community. This is where we establish that connection. This is where we really lean into supporting each other and not competing with each other. And this is where we learn to really become vulnerable in community, in connection with each other, and then going home again and being supported on a continual basis. So then being supported and taking those tools, those lessons, those valuable insights back into everyday life, so that it really translates then into, okay, how does this apply to my life today? So that's why we've really set this special mastermind, this unique mastermind up in this way, because we know how valuable and how important community is. But yes, integration. Now let's take that into each one of our lives. Let's then translate this into what my day will look like. So that's why we've set this up. And then there's the opportunity at the other end for this incredible celebration in-person retreat where we can all come back together and really, truly celebrate ourselves and each other.
Absolutely. Come for the connection and stay for the transformation.
Oh, yes. Come for the connection. Yes. Stay for the transformation. So let's talk about the initial in-person retreat. We picked Whistler in beautiful British Columbia in Canada. There's something we know, and I think a lot of women who've experienced retreats or going away for the weekend with girlfriends, there's something very powerful about physically leaving your everyday environment, because not only are you physically leaving your environment, but you're also dropping expectations that anybody else may have of you. It's also an opportunity for you to drop any expectations that you have for yourself.
Yeah, that's quite important, because a lot of us are in many roles, and we're constantly in our partner role, in our manager role, in our mother role, etc. And so cutting just for a few days, we maintain those roles, but we create enough of a distance from them so that we can connect with ourselves beyond the roles. Because while there's nothing wrong with being a mother, if that is our only identity, when our kids leave, where does that leave us? Right? Or when we lose our jobs. Like, this happened to me early on in my career. I was an up and coming management consultant, and I was very ambitious. And then there were some layoffs in my company due to the market. And that was a real blow, but it also really helped me very early on understand that I am not my career, I'm not my role, I'm not my title, and just having a bit of a more fluid, flexible relationship with that, and which allowed me to play many multiple roles in terms of career. So that's just one example. We don't need to wait for one of these life-altering moments for that. We have an opportunity to go into this inquiry.
And Juliette, I can speak to that personally, because I waited 37 years. I had been in nursing for 37 years. And as much as I love my job, I loved what I was doing, I was very good at it, I still felt like there was something missing. And then one day, the universe plucked me from my career. But what I struggled with was I was so attached to the identity of being a nurse. It was unfathomable for me to even think about who is Charlotte without nursing. And I was given the gift of space and time to really sit and ponder that. And that was when I came home to myself. That was when I remembered who I was. That really changed things for me. Do I wish I had known that sooner? I wish I had known that in my 20s and 30s, but I'm so grateful that it did happen for me at this point, and I trust the process. But you're so right. There's no reason for us to wait for some big life crisis. We don't have to wait until the children have left home. We don't have to wait until we get out of the relationship that no longer serves us. We can make these decisions. We can make these choices right now.
At this point, this is a really good time in life that is actually so supported by our hormones. The hormones that we do produce at this age really support us towards having more creativity, more wisdom, etc. And so we can really harness that. So the retreat has multiple benefits, and what's behind it is creating this space for connecting with yourself as well. I think we will have times to allow for people to have some space for themselves, because a lot of us don't have that very often, to be honest, right? And so, yes, a lot of connecting, a lot of group work, but also some reflective time as well, if you're up for that. Yeah. And also on the timing of the retreat and when we're starting the container, I think that for a lot of us coming out of the summer and then coming back in September to our life and having that moment of kind of I call it a reckoning moment, or sort of a silent reckoning, where it's like, ooh, do I really want to have another year like this? Like, if you're stepping back into your life and not excited, and there's something there that is kind of making you uneasy, this is a real signal that there's an opportunity there to dig a little deeper. And the way I approach it is any signal, whether it's a symptom or a stress, any misalignment, is always a message. And rather than shoot the messenger, is to kind of pull that thread and see, where's that frustration, where's that lack of ease, or even that sometimes it can be a bit of anger, very low grade anger. Where does that lead me back to? And very often it's by pulling that thread that we can get back to actually those things that matter the most for us. And so I find September a wonderful, rich moment for us moms. Once the kids are back in school and everybody's kind of doing their thing, is a really great moment to then have some space to sit with what's most important for us, which is really why we decided to kick off this mastermind in October and have the retreat in October, where women have a little bit more space to start before we get into the holidays and things like that. We have a little space for themselves. And this is going to be a space of a pause, really, and a recalibration.
Yeah. I mean, you're really talking my language now about listening to our bodies, listening to our intuition, which I think many of us, I know I did for a long time, was silence that, because, oh my gosh, there are so many things I need to do. My life is so busy. There are so many people depending on me. It's very easy to quieten that voice. So I love when you mentioned this is a great time. This is a great opportunity once the children are back in school, or if your children are older and you're thinking, oh, I don't have children that are going back to school now. Now what? I know from experience, it's very easy, shall we say, to drop back into the familiar, to talk ourselves out of doing something, to tell ourselves, well, okay, I have a list of excuses and reasons why not to do this. But I really want to say, if there's any tiny little part of you that is pulling for your attention, just trust that and lean in, and really lean in and listen to what it wants to say. I tell you what would be a great first step is that actually, Juliette, you and I are going to host some workshops leading up to the mastermind. And these workshops will really give people a taste, just a little taste. We're going to whet your appetite as to what you can expect at the in-person kickoff retreat and then during the 6 months of the mastermind. So I would really encourage anyone that's thinking, ooh, I'm intrigued, I'm curious, I really want to know more, come to one of our workshops. Really come and find out more about who we are and our experience and what makes us tick and what we really want to offer women on this mastermind.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a clarity workshop, really, right? And it's about getting clear, having a little space again to get clear on what it is that most matters the most to you. And from there, if you walk away from that workshop and you've got the clarity you need and you're on your way, that's absolutely beautiful. And we are extremely happy. If you think, well, I would kind of appreciate having some support, getting either clearer or really taking this clarity on my vision and really looking to see what it looks like in real life and being supported along the way, that's where you might consider this mastermind, really to have that support. I just wanted to point perhaps to add on to those aha moments when you feel a little excitement, like if what we're talking about is stirring a little something in you, we're talking about that pilot light, if it's flickering a little bit from what we're saying, to trust that. And so many times, I will tell you myself personally, I've heard about an event or a retreat or something, and I felt that little surge of excitement. And immediately after, my mind came in and it was things around, no, you don't really deserve it right now. I already had a break, or it's a little too much, or so many excuses that my mind came up with that I almost got caught up in. Just to know both, to expect both, right? Whenever there's a flicker of excitement, because let's talk nervous system for a second, right, Charlotte? And what does our nervous system love? It loves familiarity. It loves safety. And so anything that's new is going to be exciting. And then immediately the nervous system is going to ask. And so I think in these workshops that we're talking about is to uncover a little bit of what's going on there, is like, what is your vision and where you are now and what potentially could be in the way, right? And I think we're going to give you some real actionable tools on uncovering those blocks and learning how to read them and to extract the intelligence out of them. So I think you're going to get so much from this workshop.
I'm so excited about the workshops. I mean, they're incredible just as a standalone. Even if you're listening to this and thinking, a mastermind is not something I can commit to right now, I think we would still really encourage you to attend one of the workshops because they really set things in motion. They really help you to look at things from a different perspective. And, I hear you. If now is not the right time to jump into a 6-month program, come for the workshop, come for 90 minutes. What I really see us creating here, Juliette, is this modern day version of what I know women have always needed, wanted, migrated towards. And that's really this sense of community, this circle, this gathering of women, a place where women can come together on a regular basis. We're meeting every week throughout the 6 months of this mastermind. It's a place where women can express themselves and really speak from the heart and tell their truth and be witnessed, be really fully witnessed in that. It's a place for women to reconnect with their own inner wisdom. Even when things get messy in the world around us, in our lives, as life does, life is often messy. But this is a place where we can celebrate each other. And honestly, we don't do that enough. This is a place where we can celebrate those wins, however big, however small, and then leave from there really connected to ourselves and really in tune with what it is we're wanting from life, because we only get one shot at this. I remember turning 50 and thinking, gosh, I could live for another 40 years. Do I want to carry on living like this, or is there more? And I knew without a shadow of doubt, there's more. And so in that moment, I knew I was going to shake things up and make some changes. And boy, I'm glad I did.
Yeah, we all reach this moment where it's kind of a hands and knees moment sometimes, where you're just kind of like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot run this program anymore. And for me, that came out of my mouth in 2019. I was like, I cannot run this program anymore. And then I thought, well, wait a second, what program? Like, what program am I actually running? And then who's running it? Those are a lot of big questions. Because up until that time, around, turning 50, around that age, it's like, I've been running a program for a while without even knowing the origins of it. But there is an intuition. There's something in there, as you say, Charlotte, that's like, there's something more. There's something more than these beliefs that I have, these survival strategies that I've developed that have all served a beautiful purpose to get me here, but that I may no longer want to carry forward, right? And so in the retreat, as in the workshop, I think we'll have an opportunity to reflect on what is it that we don't really want to carry forward anymore. Now, what stories about ourselves are we ready to let go of? Like, what's not going to make it into this next beautiful chapter? And we can thank it, but we don't have to carry everything forward, for sure.
It's all served a purpose. Every part of us is there and is so beautiful and so precious and was so necessary as each of us were growing up. But you're so right. It no longer serves a purpose. And so very much I like to think of it as putting on different coats. Okay, let me try this coat on now and see how this fits. Maybe not, or maybe not right now. And then let's try a different one on. Or which one have I been wearing for years and years and years? And actually it's weighing me down. And it doesn't even suit me. I don't like it. So let me take that one off. So that's how I like to think of it. But I know we're going to have fun. I think this is an incredible opportunity for women of any age. I have 2 daughters and a son, but I'm always talking to my 2 daughters who are in their 20s. Don't wait until later in life. You know, here is an opportunity now for us to really stop doing things on our own, to really connect with each other on such a deeper level and really, come home to who we were always meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. And that brings up a point as well around, if you're hearing this and you're a woman who's made it pretty much not on her own, but sort of the hyper independent, very competent woman that I know you are. And it feels almost a little scary and a little bit vulnerable to step into something. We're talking sisterhood, we're talking all these things, and you're probably going, oh my God, like all these red flags.
Right?
Yes, it does. It does take a little vulnerability. But if, we're speaking to your excitement and also acknowledging there might be a little bit of fear, and that's okay. We're all in this together. And for us, I'm somebody who's worked a lot of male dominated environments. I was very comfortable in those environments. I figured it out, so to speak. And I had a little bit of apprehension to step into these women's circles. It didn't come naturally to me because it was a level of vulnerability that I wasn't used to. And then I was like, oh my God, these women are going to see right through me. Like, I can't do my usual. I'm going to have to speak my truth, right? But that was an opening for me. And the level of support and care that I have felt from these kind of circles has been really something that I can only wish for all of us. And just acknowledge that it's something new. It could be, or maybe you're used to this, but even if it's new, everybody's welcome at any age, as you say.
Any age at any stage. I've been hosting several in-person immersions in Florida. And when I see small groups of women coming together, it's so interesting. It's fascinating because each person comes with an expectation of what's on their heart and what they will speak to. And invariably, that's not what comes up. And it's such an honor to witness such unfolding and revealing of these deeper layers that each one of us are carrying. And when one person shares vulnerably, it really gives permission for each one of us, and I include myself in too, to then share even more vulnerably. So yes, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is not me, I can't do this, this feels scary, that's a beautiful place to be. A little bit of excitement and a little bit of scary. And that's how we move forward and step over the next edge, into something so much bigger.
If you haven't yet discovered the power of group coaching, so another reason why we're hosting this is because I think both you and I have done a lot of one-on-one coaching, but we've also seen the power of groups, both in our coaching and our personal experiences. And I host a weekly metabolic reset for women in midlife. And the magic that happens is always, I just have such awe and of just me stepping out of the way and letting the women support each other. And I think for me, what was the most life-changing really with group coaching is the minute I realized that, oh, I'm not alone here. Everybody's thinking the same thing. We're all kind of thinking, maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I'm not a good person. All these things that are, running in our minds. And it's like, oh, I'm not the only one. And just that, whether or not you have an amazing facilitator, which is also a great bonus, that is transformational. Just that knowing that, you know what, we are so much more alike than we are different. And there's so much to be learned from that.
Yeah. And one of the ways that really reveals itself to us is in community with other women, is sitting in the presence of other women and listening to them speak, because that is, I would agree with you, Juliette, one of the most powerful things that I have witnessed is somebody else sharing so vulnerably from the heart, and me thinking, oh my gosh, I honestly thought I was the only one that thought that way. And that really, truly empowers. I see it empower the whole room, the whole space. And that's what really helps us to really believe in ourselves.
We've decided to call this mastermind The Gathering. And really, for me, this word gathering is so powerful because, of course, we're gathering together. But what we're really doing is we're gathering parts of ourselves, scattered parts of ourselves that maybe we've left along the way, maybe a inner child who's been wounded, or maybe a dream we had that sort of didn't quite make it to this version of ourselves. And we're really going to take the time to kind of look back and gather all those parts to really bring them into who we are today. And it's from there we can expand outward. But this is really about reconnecting with ourselves and becoming whole again.
What feels very alive for me about this is I know how quick I've been to judge certain parts of myself, how easy it has been for me to reject parts of myself. And so in the work that I know both you and I do, and work that I do with one-on-one clients too, there's a lot of embracing those parts. And so now really gathering in the younger parts of ourselves, the parts that dared to dream, the parts that were so full of curiosity, the parts that were very much connected to our intuition and to our knowing. And so, yes, the gathering is really bringing all of that back, embracing it all, not rejecting any part of it, and really acknowledging and seeing each part for the important job that each part has done for us that's got us to this point in life. So I really see the gathering as an opportunity for us to really welcome every part of ourselves, even the parts that we may not particularly like, or the parts that we may not know very well at this point.
And so what would be the next step here? What's for people who are listening who are getting excited? So we do have our workshops. We're going to offer a link in the notes below.
Yes, we'll put the link to the workshops in the show notes below.
I think that's really the first step. I mean, if you're ready to go and you want to jump on a clarity call with Charlotte and I talking about the retreat and the mastermind, we're more than happy to do that as well. And we'll be sharing that link. If you put yourself on the wait list, is probably the best way to go, so that as more details come out, you'll be the first one to know. And there's a limited number of spaces, obviously, because it's a retreat. And we really want to keep this at a close-knit community of women and circle for this iteration at least. So I really encourage you, if anything we said in this conversation has sparked your interest, to just put your name on the wait list and not wait to do so. Listen to that voice inside you. It might not be there tomorrow, or the fear might have taken over tomorrow, or something else might have come up in your life, because we all have busy lives. And we are so excited to meet with you at the workshop and have these conversations with you.
Yeah. So we've created this beautiful landing page that gives you a bit more of a taste of what the in-person retreat in Whistler and then the 6th month container looks like. So that information will also be in the show notes below. So we encourage you to click on that, explore, get curious, have a look, and really notice what comes up for you. And then, as Juliette said, click that button, put yourself on the wait list, and we can continue into having another conversation with you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for our chat today. I really enjoy speaking to you, and I'm really excited for what's coming ahead.
Thanks, Juliette. I'm really excited. I feel so aligned with what we're doing and what we have created together. And I know that women will feel so supported and so held. Let's just for a minute fast forward to the end of this year. It's the 31st of December, 2026. And you chose yourself. You signed up for the mastermind. You've already attended the incredible in-person retreat in beautiful Whistler, British Columbia, in Canada. You have now been in this mastermind program, this community of women. You have been witnessed. You have been held. You have uncovered those blocks that have been standing in the way, but also the stepping stone to you moving forward. And you are now making different choices in your life. So just take a moment, close your eyes, and really feel into, what does that feel like for you? What does it feel like to have chosen yourself, to be waking up every morning knowing that you are living the best life that you can, that you are living the life that you were always meant to live. You are being authentic to the person you were always meant to be, without having to perform, without having to put on any mask, without having to pretend to be somebody that you're not. Really feel into that, because that's how you can feel every day. You really can feel into that every morning that you wake up. That's the feeling that we are creating in this mastermind.
Yeah. I imagine waking up in the morning and feeling that you are living your purpose. No, you're not waiting anymore. You're not waiting for the conditions to be optimal, to be right, for the moment to arrive, or for permission to come, or anything like that. You are truly living your purpose right here, right now. And you're so excited about what comes next.
Beautiful. So come for the connection, stay for the transformation.
Come for the connection, stay for the transformation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Juliette. I had so much fun today. And like I said, all that information will be below in the show notes. Please reach out. And if you have any questions, let us know. I would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Juliette.